Let me know if you want me to open these one by one, or if we can assume that you've read over all of them and you're ready to move on them. Unless there's something out of the ordinary, Jason, that you want to point out.
I can breeze through them. The cemetery, not a whole lot. As far as, revenue has been good. Revenue's up, expenses are up some. In all, we had a really good start to the year. But the only bills that I had were, we had a $2,700 transmission job on the 1 ton. We had some work done on one of the clubhouse furnaces. It was about $700. Other than that, everything was pretty normal stuff. But yeah, like I said, as far as play and revenue, it's been going really well so far this year. The early start was great, and we're just up in play. I had a long conversation about Eric. Eric has lessons tonight, and that's why he's not here. So, so I guess unless somebody has questions on the financials.
Any questions for Jason? Need a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Is that for both golf and cemetery?
House report.
Yeah.
I'll kind of, we have it, and I'll answer any questions on it. Kind of like I said, you guys can read that, and I'll just kind of talk here a little bit. Play has been good. But one of the main things is, so during COVID, we went to 10-minute tee times. We started the year at 9-minute. Now we've gone to 8-minute tee times, just trying to accommodate people.
What were you at prior to COVID?
Prior to COVID, I think we were at 8, yeah. So we're back to where we were, but we were kind of going there a couple of years where, I guess I've kind of said this a few times. You come out on a weekend, you can't just assume there's going to be a tee time, and you can't assume that you're going to get done in 3 or 3.5 hours. You better be planning for a 4-hour round. Not to say that it can't happen, but it just play has been on a night, especially even a nice day during the weekend. You can't necessarily come out in the evening and assume that you're going to get on when you want to get on. Eric does a very good job on getting, somebody comes out, they call, he will do everything he can to get you on the course, but we got to do it within reason. So.
Jason, do you know anything, new faces, new players, new members, or we getting a lot of country club?
We had that conversation today. There's 27 new members at this point in time. He thought maybe 14 to 17 from over there. So yes, there are some, but there are just a lot of new golfers and people we've just never seen before. And that's not just members. And greens fees and stuff too. We're just seeing, it's just been solid play. So. I guess probably, are you guys done with this sheet? We can go to the next page. It gives the rounds and members and so as you can see, we're actually right now, we're at 543 members. That's what we were at end of last year. Realistically, we could be at 620. At best, Eric was estimating maybe upwards around 650 or 680. So like I said, between the members and just daily play, it's just been a busy place, so,
Huge jump in family.
yeah.
Big jump in
Yep,
family.
yep. I would say, just from knowledge of, between me and Eric, we were anticipating that singles and families will be up. The other categories will probably be about the status quo, what we've been, so,
One thing I did notice when you hear that back in 1990s, they had 800 members. Well, that was counting couples as two. And then whoever was over 10, you'd put 4, under 10 was free back then. So they were counting members, not, this actually should be memberships. And I'm assuming if my math is right. Only equal memberships, right?
no, that's actual members.
It is?
Yep.
All right, I'm wrong. I thought I looked at that.
Yep.
500.
Because when I first got here, I was thinking it was that way, and Eric corrected me on that, so,
All right, I'm wrong.
yep. But, so, and if you go up, go up to the round, so the amount of rounds that we're at so far this year, for the month of April, we're at 3,300 rounds. That's like June numbers, almost. It just feels like, I talked to Eric about this today, it's just like, it feels like the end of June, not the middle of May right now, so. So, I mean, if these numbers keep up on rounds, we could be at 30,000 rounds for the year. And the highest number since I've been back, I think was 27. So.
Any
It's
questions for
amazing what the
Jason?
weather.
I do, I have a couple questions for
Hmm?
Jason. But maybe I missed this, what if we ended up on the cart situation? Do we have a rule on the carts yet? Riding, 1, 2, did we get that figured out?
As far as that. So we haven't totally addressed that yet.
If we're gonna address it, I think we need to do it sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it last year and everything, and it's just gets to a point where a decision needs to be made and it needs to be followed. Well, that means everybody's got to follow it, is the issue. So if guys are coming out during the middle of the week and we don't need it, but if we get into a weekend or a day that we're going to be busy, we need to be able to say, all right, you two need to pair up, and we just need to stand by it. And
So basically what you're saying, we don't, it's status quo from, just like we had last year then at this point,
yeah, we haven't.
okay?
Eric's encouraging people to pair up when needed.
Sure.
That's happened a couple times when I've been out there with Jeff and
Yeah,
I, is that, busy Saturday,
yep,
you know, and there's hardly any cars left in the,
Yep.
you know, and Eric just says, you know, you guys, would you ride together?
Yep.
And I don't think it's had any problem with.
I would say there's about a handful of guys that have just gotten, I don't want to say refused, but they just, they're not happy about it. So,
Brothers that play league, so when me and Eric would go out and play league, and we had 3 cars going down, and they're brothers, and they're skinny. They like to eat
So.
space, they even on league, so you probably lose them if you make a rule.
and that's just it. It's kind of a gray area on how stiff do you get on it. Like I said, me and Eric have had this conversation, and not just this cart. I mean, we've had conversations about a lot of different policy possibilities and everything. And at first, people are gonna buck it, and they're gonna get a little miffy about it, and hopefully in the long run, they just say, oh, this is for the better of the golf course. And when we're asking people to join up, it's not necessarily to save on gas, which it is, but it's also wear and tear on the golf course. We've had the comment made that, well, it speeds up play. We're to the point right now where you can't go nowhere, so you can't give me that speeds up play. If you can get around in 3 hours, we don't have all of our carts out there, so. And people just got used to it during COVID. So, and when they purchase a single cart, they purchase one seat of that cart. Now, if they're a threesome and they got 2 carts, that's fine, but if we need to pair them up, we should be able to do that. So, and I guess that's our viewpoint. Now, when it comes to personal carts, I mean, we really don't have any say on that because it's your guys' carts, it's, you do what you want with it, and that's your right. But when it comes to our carts, it should be able to. So I guess for right now, I would say, unless if you guys want us to get hard on it, but otherwise, I think we'll just still try to encourage people, try to educate them. This is why, and this is our reasoning. So I guess we couldn't move on anything tonight anyways, but I mean, if as a board, you want us to start implementing that, it would be.
I was just bringing it up for discussion because
Yep.
last year was an issue.
Yep.
We thought
Yep.
this year we were doing something.
Yep,
Makes no difference to me.
and for the most part, when Eric asked people, they're pretty good about it. Like I said, it's a handful of guys that get a little gruff about it, and so, yep.
Second question I have, what about golf tournaments? Are we maxed out or
We didn't add, we added one golf tournament and one outing from the situation across town.
Okay.
One of them is a good fundraiser. The other one is more of a reunion.
So really, since last year we've only added one tournament?
Yes. Well, and that technically we aren't having a couple, so in the long run, we're probably about the same.
Okay.
So we did encourage the groups that approached us to make sure that they couldn't accommodate them so that we weren't overrun. So most of them, I'm assuming, we haven't heard back from them, so we're assuming that they are all staying out there.
You know,
Yep.
Well, it's a real fine line. We like to have the income and
Yep.
the other side, you got
Yep.
all the members and you got to
Yep.
make sure we.
And I think we're kind of, where we've been the last couple of years, I think has been kind of maybe a little more than what members would like, but there's also some members that they want to play in tournaments.
Sure.
They do, I mean, you got certain ones, they want to go and they want to play with their foursome, and that's it. They don't want to play in tournaments, but there's others that want them. So we're accommodating in as much ways as we can without getting too overloaded. And with, it, like I said, if play keeps up the way it is, I think we're in a good spot as far as tournament play, regular play. So.
Those are all the questions I have.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jason? Now, you want to go on to the superintendent report?
I'll just kind of buzz through this. For the cemetery, on there is the link for the digital cemetery. If you guys want to look at that and see what you think on it. It's mostly done. They're just working on some uploading issues. It's kind of slow. So I would encourage you to look at it, give feedback. Oh, you can link to it. So this is what it is. As you can see, the darker green is Graceland 1 or Grace 2. The lighter green is Grace 1, the yellow is cavalry, blue is Legion, and then servicemen also. So zoom in a little bit more on one of the sections. Keep going. So if you would click on one of those boxes, it'll give the information of the people in that or in that lot.
Wow, back to 1908.
Amazing.
So, and that, from what I was in, maybe they got it, I talked to him 2 weeks ago, maybe they got that kind of sped up a little bit, I haven't. So, all the information that's in there is information that we put in a spreadsheet, and then quarterly or monthly, we'll give it to District 3 and they'll update it. And then there's also a query where you can write in a name, like Smith or whatever, and it'll list all the Smiths in there. So I would say we're really close. We haven't put it on our the city website yet, but we're real close. So,
You go back a ways, that was 1909.
yeah.
That's some research.
Yeah.
So like I said, I encourage you guys to, not right now, but I mean, jump on there, navigate a little bit, see what you think, give me what your thoughts are, and so. Let's see. As far as the cemetery, the guys are getting ready for Memorial Day, just getting into the weed eating. Everybody loves that. Working on the budget for both sides. For the community garden, the garden is full. We open up all of our spots, so extra 15 garden spots, and we are full with about an 8-person waiting list. So we did have a couple that they hadn't paid yet, and we tried calling, and they didn't respond, so we opened those spots back up and gave them to the next person on the list, so.
And they haven't paid.
No. They had one spot, they said they wanted another one, and we tried multiple times to contact them, and so,
Have we been full every year?
no. The 15 spots that I opened, I mean, it was sod, so we had to totally open it up.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, there's no more, we'd have to get pretty creative to make more spots inside that fence, so. Hopefully those 3 spots produce well this year. It's fresh ground. We did put a little bit of compost in each section and till it in. We actually just got it open today, so we've been trying to for 2 weeks, and it keeps on raining. People have been pretty good understanding about it, but I was glad to get that open today. So as I left, there was about 6 or 7 people planting, so. Golf course, rain's been great. Driving range has been nuts. We're picking almost every day. We did get the new range balls, so that's everything, unless if it's coming out of somewhere else or out of the ground, we're all the strata balls that we got half of last year, so. I've had some unexpected staff turnover, so I'm still working on that, so.
Seasonal stuff.
Yeah, seasonal staff, yep. Working on tree removal, stump work yet to be done. Gonna sod that forward T on 15, laying out temporary holes and routing for construction. And we have a pre-con meeting on May 29th. So. Any questions on any of that?
It's a pre-con.
Pre-construction. So Dunick will be involved. They'll actually be on site. Norby will be there. myself, Kevin, probably engineering. So,
So this one isn't online.
no. So we'll be going over where they're going to set up their mobilization. We'll go over kind of last minute details, and they can kind of get the lay of the land essentially. So we've been having meetings every 2 weeks. We did not have one last week, but, and just kind of getting things out and talking through things and issues and whatnot, so. So.
Okay, what do you think about marshals?
Okay, so first discussion item. So Eric brought this up. Just play and people not knowing etiquette and whatnot, being able to keep flow going. I don't know if we really decide we should or shouldn't. We just wanted to bring it to your attention and wanted to know, do you guys want us to bring this back to you if we decide to do it? Or do you want us just to implement it at our discretion? So,
How much are they gonna put the hammer down, is I think what they're thinking.
so we've had, there again, I've talked to Eric about this, and it needs to be, number one, it needs to be the right person. It's not necessarily gonna be going out and, it needs to be done in a tactful way. A lot of it is gonna be stopping by and saying, how's your day going? And just people knowing that that person's out there should take care of a lot of problems. That's what the hope is.
So it's gonna be Joel.
Handcuffs.
I've been approached and the answer was no. You'd be surprised.
So on the other side of that is, well, so technically it's Eric's responsibility to keep play going and everything, so then there's the question of who's paying for this person to be out there. So I don't have it in my budget right now to do that, so it would have to be Eric would have to be able to justify it on his side at this point. So, like I said, this is what, most of these items tonight is just to bring to your attention, get your thoughts. I don't want to dwell on any of these items for a real long time. So,
I think you bring it back to us in a month
okay.
to see how things go and progress.
Yep.
And if it gets to be
In
an
years
issue.
past, as soon as Voltech graduated and college graduated, things went away. Like, especially Voltech, they come in for a weekend, none of them golf much, cowboy boots are on, and they graduate, they go back to their towns. I'm just telling you realistically what, June 1 is when it,
Yeah.
but then your stag party starts, but,
Yep. So, and then there again, me and Eric had the conversation on, well, maybe you just put beverage cart person out there on a regular basis. They're out there, they see things, they can report back to Eric, and Eric can take care of it from there. I don't want to put them in a bad situation of going up to these unruly people, trying to get them to follow the rules.
By the way, do you wanna buy a drink?
Yeah. Yeah. But at least, like I said, the main thing is if there's a person out there that's visible, more than likely that's going to take care of a lot of issues. When I'm out driving around, I see some stuff, but I can definitely tell the guys that are on the straight and narrow just because I'm there, so. So,
I've been around a lot of golf courses and have been a lot of marshals on there. And marshals that I've been on, I mean, that are retired guys that are out there. And the beauty of most of them, they have a little thing on your cart that says, okay,
Yep.
tee time is 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And and they know where you're supposed to be, and all those guys do, nobody gets out there and they don't get crazy, they say, just
Yep.
maybe you need to pick the pace up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it can be just at that, and
Yep.
then, and if it doesn't keep working, then maybe
Yep.
Eric or somebody else can get involved.
Yep.
But, like, to your point, you got a cart that says Marshall on it.
Yep.
And they come by and they might, just like you say, how's your day going, whatever, guys maybe need to pick it up a little bit.
Yep.
A lot of times they'll just drive by and say, won't say anything, they'll say, hey,
Yep.
they know that you're fine.
Yep.
But I like Dan says, the busier we get,
Yep.
it may well just be nice to have a card out there. I don't know how you, who pays for that, I don't know how you I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they aren't gonna work on tips.
No.
Especially if you ask somebody to leave the courts.
Yeah.
A lot
So-
of times the former golf coach doesn't. You guys know anybody?
Why are you looking?
Former superintendents.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You're right, former.
I think bring it back to us in a month, see how things go after June 1st.
I don't know that it's a 7-day-a-week deal.
no, it would
Certainly on
be,
weekends.
it would be on 10 to
Yeah.
4 or 5,
Yeah.
on weekends, on days that we anticipate. But that, whoever that person would be somebody that, okay, we're not anticipating that we're going to be busy this day, you're not going to work. And they need to be okay with that.
Yep.
So,
You want a marshal too, and a starter?
well, it's just, it was just a discussion point, not necessarily. So the reason why I put that in there is because I know a lot of the Sioux Falls courses, they did implement that this year, where they have a marshal out all the time, and they have a starter.
I've been on other, like, the smaller courses.
Yeah.
They do have marshals.
Yep. So,
Go over to the casino and play.
yeah,
The guy goes through seems like a 5-minute dissertation,
yep,
what they expect.
yep. So, item number 9, that is, so we started doing the credit card fee. That has gone over pretty good. Some grumbling on some guys, people.
Cash machine there?
There is a cash machine there, so they have the option of, that's a $3 fee for them to use it. So unless if your dollar amounts to a certain amount, it doesn't really make sense. But they always have the option of using cash or check, so. But the main purpose why I brought this up is for, to bring to your guys' attention. So right now, in the past, we've always done, Eric covered 50% and we covered 50% of the credit card fee. So right now, I'm just paying him 50%. We're going to come up with a reasonable, so he's still paying 50% of it, but I'm coming up with a way of compensating him for that other part. So that way, he's ahead, we're ahead in this whole deal, so. There will be some that get missed and everything, so what I'm thinking is either quarterly or at the end of the year, we take what we collected, take 50% of it, and whatever, take 50% of that, and then Eric will have that. So if his staff misses some, that's on him. So,
Tell me how you pay, who pays Eric?
so on this credit card fee part of it, it all goes under him.
Okay.
So that all gets charged to him. And then the city in the past has just reimbursed him for 50% of it.
The city won't let you back when you have credit card charges. The city won't let people take money out of the city account. So it had to go through me and the city reimbursed me.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's what they said then.
Okay.
So
So
I
he,
don't care.
so he is still getting that 50% right now. And then,
Then he has to pay, so if, of a 3% fee, he's paying 1.5% is what you're,
At the end.
Yeah. Yep.
okay.
So, and he was okay if we go like quarterly or something like that on doing that. So obviously the first quarter, we don't have that much. So that is what it is.
Jason, tell me, why did this come up? Who brought it to, whose ever attention?
The credit card fee,
Yeah.
we've discussed it last year
Of course,
and,
putting it on,
Yeah,
actually it was me.
okay.
Because like both golf courses, Salem and Fish Lake had it, the bar we own has it, and we're paying out $12,000
Oh, yeah, I
in credit
get
cards.
it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get it, I just know how it came
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I brought it up
Okay.
for
Yep.
about a couple years in a
Yeah,
row.
the other option that you know, that you could do when you're in this business deal, you turn around, try going in, the ones that kill Eric is when he comes in there and the guy's got a $3 deal and, you know, they're throwing credit cards on every little thing that goes on. A lot of them will just put a minimum, you know, I don't know if that would help.
it really doesn't matter on the system we're on. It's it's actually 2 point whatever, it's right close to 3%, but it ain't gonna matter if you buy a candy bar, whatever, it's still 3% on that item, so.
Okay.
So it's not,
Go for a swipe no more.
no,
So if you go to the cash machine, it's a $3 charge for
Yeah.
getting cash to pay your bill.
yeah. So if you go to get $5 to buy a candy bar and a pop, they're gonna charge you $3, so you got $8 out, so I mean, it doesn't make any sense to do something like that. So anyways, in the long run, we just need to figure out what's the most equitable way on Eric's side and our side to reimburse him for that other portion of that, so. So, in the long run, he'll be ahead a little bit, and the city will be ahead because of this credit card fee. So we're just trying to be fair about it.
I just don't think 1.5% is too bad,
Yeah,
personally. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but 1.5% isn't bad.
yeah. So. Okay. Any questions on that?
Ready for phase 2 timeline then?
Okay, so I'll bring up that plan on that link. Yep. So we're set to go on this. I still have some tree removal and some dirt to haul in for it.
Let me know what you want me to do.
You're fine right now. So the main part that they're going to start on would be 14 and 15. Probably go to that one.
So separate.
Yep. The next one, right there. So this is what they'll start on. And, the main thing with it during this portion of it is just the routing, getting around the construction. I'm working through the details on that. Either I'm going to have to go through the area between 15T and 16 Green and cut back, or we're going to have to go all the way out and around. That the getting around that way is a little more difficult because of how to get there. So I have options. So this portion will start July 15th, right after the city tournament. They'll have 2 weeks to work on this area before they can move on. They may or may not be done with this chunk at that point. They probably won't be done, but it'll be quite a ways. Been talking to them, so we're talking to them about possibility of doing those back tees to keep it a par 5. Haven't heard a number on that yet. If we do that, I'm gonna assume that the city's gonna make us take it out of our cash. Kevin Norby shot a price out. We've been kind of talking about some possibilities of some little items that we can I can do to facilitate that. The reason why that did not get in the bid is because it was under question on the bike path at the time that the bids came out. And so we're totally comfortable with having it in there, so we just left it out.
Refresh my memory, this cart path is gonna be made of what?
For now, gravel.
Okay, I couldn't remember what was gravel.
Yep, so there was a alternate to leave or to add the paving for it. And where we were at on the bid and over budget on it, we left that out, and it's going to be made of gravel to be done at a later time.
I like that it's going to the outside, so the ball
Yep.
can get the
Yep.
cart path and shoot it to the water.
So the existing cart path all the way up and around the corner, the dog leg, that will actually get eliminated up to a certain point. So the cart path will not be continuous all the way across, so you will have to cross the fairway at some point. If we have a wet situation, we'll have to live with that. My intent is to probably ask for money to actually pave that out of next year's budget, so it's possible that it would get done before we open this up, so. And the way it's going to be done is they'll put in 4, 5, 6 inches of gravel, and then we just have to dig that out, put our asphalt in, and then do a little bit of landscaping around it, so.
That's quite a range, 100 yards to 160, is it?
I believe so, yeah.
Good eyes, Joe.
So which one you
I was
had?
guessing.
Which one you had? Green shape, have you seen them or not?
He hasn't,
Style?
he has not. They will be elevated, but they won't be like 16 and 18 where it's real, they call it potato chippy. It will have some movement, but it won't be,
How about the dunes, like, everyone's got that, 1, 2, 3, with the mounting behind off the green?
there'll be a little bit, I think. The biggest question, I think, was the design of the bunkers. I've been talking to him about that. A lot of it will be, the grass will come over the edge and come down about halfway, and then the sand will come up halfway, and that's where it will be, so, yeah. I have not approved that yet, so I've been wanting examples and, before he does the design, so. Now, most of these bunkers will not be as big as what we have now. They'll be a little bit smaller, make maintenance a little easier to a point. So there's one on this green, and then there's 2 on number 11, so we'll get to that.
Now, how many trees do you have to remove to go down 15?
If you don't,
To take the tee boxes back.
so if you don't include like the old tree nursery, if you don't include those trees, because there's a lot on top of each other, there's quite a few there. But if you just include what's by the fairway, probably about 10. But once I get into that tree belt, there's going to be quite a few, so just to make room.
Those are the trees on the left side of 15.
Yep. And most of them, even if we don't move the tee boxes back, most of them are still going to have to come out just to make the lane, so.
What's the plan to make the tree belt look better when you're driving off the tee box?
So that will be addressed at the same time, so we're going to try to salvage what good trees we have and try to identify which ones we really want, and the ones that are not desirable, planning on removing. Part of that too is, so I'm losing my spot for our dirt piles and our tree piles. So when my plan is to, in those trees, kind of carve out a niche in there, and so that you won't necessarily see much of my dirt piles and my tree piles. It's going to somewhat hide those areas. So,
Kevin, they are rerouting the walk path, right? Instead of an inside corner, going outside corner.
Correct.
So then the walkers won't see them either.
No.
I thought we did that.
And part of what I got through that tree grant, go toward some new trees on the golf course as well.
yeah. Yep.
So then Tommy, you don't like when you bike, you know, you turn by 15, go by the clubhouse, or the shop. Now you're gonna go straight. You know, if you're on the cart path. You'll go straight and then down, so you'll avoid all the gardens and.
So, any questions on this area?
Maybe you don't take that route when you're biking. I see you laughing, so I know you don't go that way
Other way.
down.
So here, this will start after the member guest, so they can't start on this area till after the member guest. That way, we should have 18 playable holes with actual greens up until the member guest. Then the rest of August, there will probably be at least one hole that it will be a mowed lower area in the fairway. And we'll make it as good as we can, but we'll do everything we can to make sure we get as many actual greens we're hitting to.
What's that date? Remember, guys?
Last weekend in July. So like I said, the other part, they'll have about 2 weeks to work on, and then after the member guests, they can work on whatever they need, so. All the construction's supposed to be done by the end of August. Now, to get by this area, what we'll probably do is we'll have a path kind of going by where the long grass is on the right side of 11. And we'll probably just keep that really high up there and just assume that we're going to have some trail going through there, and we'll fix it at a later date, so. Then when we get up to the cart path, we'll just be able to follow that up. There again, 2 bunkers there, one green side, one kind of in the middle of the fairway.
Or is that off the tee, you remember?
The bunker? I don't remember. The whole hole is, it's right, the green is actually going to be right about the same distance.
Does it see that one?
Yep, maybe a couple yards further. We will have about 3 big elms to take down right in front of where the new green is yet. What I might end up doing is taking them down and moving them into that native area until winter and then hauling them out. So. So anyways, the main reason why I brought this up is there's been a lot of questions on people thinking we're starting at the spring. Just wanted to reaffirm with you guys what the timeline is. So when you're asked, this is what it is, so. Any questions on anything along that lines? No? I'm just going to make a couple quick points, kind of related to this, but not. I just want to encourage you guys, number one, if you guys can respond back on the emails that go out to respond that you're going to be here or not be here, it makes it a lot easier on Angel and myself, because I get phone call on Monday morning of a meeting and I got to make phone calls. So if you know you're going to be there, please respond. If you would rather call, please do that. And then the other thing is, I would really encourage you guys to read through these before the meeting. And I don't know if you do or don't, but look at the financials and everything, just so you understand what's going on. And that way, if you have questions, you're more ready for them. And so I just want to throw that out there. Last of all, for capital projects, so by the next meeting, I'm going to have to be kind of finalized on my budget. We'll have a little bit of time right after our next meeting, but wanted to get you guys, bring some stuff to your attention anyways, what could possibly be on the budget. Jeff had asked me about putting phase 3 on there. So for that, it would be kind of like, the timeline would be kind of like we did for this one. If we did get it approved, it would not happen next year. It would get bid next year and it would be the year after. So he felt like he wanted to keep things rolling on that. So wanted to I wish he was here. So see what your guys' thoughts are. I know we've discussed it, and just a reminder on what phase 3 is, that would be number 14 with the pond to the right side, new green on 5, 4T gets moved over, and then 14 is essentially all brand new. So,
Phase 3 was actually pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
Drain that hole, the big thing, all that wet area in 14. You know, they'd have that drain into the pond with an overflow. New green on 14 with home site in the building. You remember that? And a new 5 green, which is pretty easy hole, pretty block green.
So so if we would do that phase, one benefit to doing it would be the excess material coming out of the pond would be able to be moved to the cemetery expansion on the north side of the cemetery, because there's a lot of leveling that needs to be there. So kind of a benefit. And sooner or later, we do need to do a cemetery expansion, because I've been asking each year for money to make a plan, and gotten shot down here so far. But we are running out of space in the cemetery. So I've got Aaron getting me actual numbers on how many spots in each block there is. It is getting harder and harder to find, if we got a family that comes in, to find any more than a couple spots next to each other. I mean, we have families come in, they'll buy 10, 12 spots. Well, every time somebody does that, it takes a lot away. So there's only certain blocks that we have much availability left, and if it keeps up, it's just a matter of time. So the reason why we've been asking for the last couple of years is just for the simple fact of it's coming. So.
They don't want to go west.
So there's 2 separate ones. So the alfalfa field's one area, and then there's about a 3 or 4 acre just north of Calvary. You can.
North of where?
Of Calvary Cemetery, the Catholic cemetery. All right, so right along Indian Village Road,
Okay. Yeah.
but between the fence and number 14T.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it,
I don't know where the cemeteries are.
Yep. So Kevin Thurman had kind of mapped that out before he retired and, but like I said, there's just a need to bring some material in there, to make it more, yep, that section right there just. Yep, right there. So it should be, I mean, we would orient it so that it's not impacted by number 14T. Most of the, right about where the mouse is right now and a little bit to the south and right, or down and right, yeah, right in there, that's probably the area that most of the fill would need to be. What we would probably do is some terracing, so we get to a certain point, terrace it, wind around, have another level.
Is that where you would take the fill from on 14 where you dug the pond out? Would you
Yeah,
put it over there?
that would be in this spot. The area on the alfalfa field, that doesn't need any fill. Actually, there's going to be more probably cutting for drainage, and by the time we get done with that, I don't think there would be a need for any, So I would say those are the two big projects that are in question. Now, I probably won't ask for actual money to do construction for either of these cemetery projects. What I've been asking for the last couple of years is for a design of the two areas. Biggest thing is roads and drainage.
Is there a preference right now of which place you go first?
Well, so this area is a lot bigger. I mean, there's 23 acres, I believe. Well, 21 acres if we do the tee boxes, so. So, I mean, there's a lot of graves there. The other area is about 2.8 acres, I believe, is the way it was originally mapped out. This would actually be easier to do because of the other one. There's going to be a lot more dirt work and everything. So, and the nice part about this side is that we can cordon off a quarter of it at a time and build a quarter of it at a time. So it's not like we would have to do the whole thing at one time.
We could still use your fill on the other side.
Yeah.
Just keep-
Yep, we'll just say it.
Working the other one and just kind of.
Yep. So one of the biggest things on the other one, the smaller one, is that there was a lot of stumps and stuff in there that had gotten filled over, and so putting more fill on it would be a good thing long-term to get that buried even further. So there again, that's not going to happen this next year, but it,
What was the percentages to using columbariums over cremated?
I would say not necessarily columbariums. The columbariums, it's getting more popular. So we have the city columbarium, we have the serviceman's columbarium, and we have the Catholic columbarium. The serviceman one is filling up fast. The city one is not so much. The Catholic one is pretty slow. I think a lot of that is belief, but the serviceman is actually contemplating putting in another one now or getting in the planning stages for it. I would say as far as cremations, not that I could answer. That's getting closer and closer to 50%.
That's what I meant to say, I said
Yep.
it wrong.
Yep.
What percentage of those place the ashes on the cemetery versus keeping the ashes?
Just from COVID, we think there's a lot of remains on people's shelves. So we went about 2 years here where there was a lot of deaths, unfortunately, but we were actually going down in burials. Well, when you can hold on to them and bury them at a later, and some people are doing, the husband dies while the wife is waiting until she passes before, and they'll be buried together. There's a lot of that going on too. So,
You ever see it where they're grave on top of a grave?
yep.
Do you see more and more of that now?
Yep. So the way we do it in our cemetery, you can either have two traditionals, which would be one on top of each other. So the first one, we got to dig deeper. Or you can have one traditional and two cremations on one spot, or you can have three cremations on one spot. So where that makes it interesting, if you've got three on one spot, you still need to keep your headstone to that spot. So you only got that amount of space. You can do a flat stone on the part, but, so. Yeah. So, good record keeping is great for that, because then if you know what's there, and so like you say, we have three cremations are planned on going in there. The first one we'll essentially put under the headstone, and then we got the rest of the room for the other two, so.
What's the dollar amount on phase 3, Jason? You know?
Kevin Norby gave me an estimate of 470 or 80,000. So,
Because I think the conversations have been brought up with Eric, and I think it's probably a good time to at least start talking right here. People are wanting some things maybe moved up,
Yep.
like
Yep.
out on the range and
Yep.
like the par 3 and stuff like that. And I guess like my thoughts on that is the golf landscape in Mitchell has changed
Yep.
in the last 12 months.
Yep.
And we don't know like what it's going to look like, going forward, because there's some stuff that's still up in the air. But like, I wonder, can like that par 3, like those holes that we're talking about doing out there, like we're talking about usage on the course, like, is that something that we can maybe go forward with? Because, phase 3, I guess in the grand scheme of things, isn't as expensive as the others, right? Like, I'm not just trying to throw money around here. But while they're working, like, hey, can we also do this too? And then also too, can that maybe help alleviate some of the pressures that we have on the golf course right now, if we would have like that little side par 3?
Yep.
I'm talking about like new golfers and things like that. Like, hey, maybe this is more your guys' speed, and I think you might actually get people who might actually enjoy that.
Yep.
Um,
I totally agree with that. I mean, as far as par 3, there's some people that would just rather go do that, and a beginner would be more comfortable on an area like that. Now, as far as what order we try to do these items, there's nothing saying you can't mix things up. Nothing set in stone that says we got to go right in order and we end at this one. There's nothing saying that, so. Now, if,
With the par 3, are you talking?
The old driving ranges.
Yeah, the old driving range. The old driving range where that little chipping area is out there on that bed.
Okay.
so the original plan was to do 3 par 3 holes essentially on the south side of the driving range tee originally. In that phase, it would be redoing the driving range tee and targets and everything. And then in a later phase, it was doing another 8 on the old driving range. So,
Yeah, and that's just thinking out loud. Jeff and I have talked about this a little bit too, but I mean, I would like to see us continue, to go forward with this as long as we can. But I mean, I also understand that there's phases, and this as well too, that you're like, hey, we can live without this, right? But like, that's one thing that I'm hearing is getting more traction.
yep.
Is that maybe something that we can lump
And-
in with
and
phase 3?
When we redo the driving range tee box, that had an AstroTurf tee line for spring and fall, and when the tee box is beat up beyond recognition, we can hold it to that. The one issue with, it's kind of a 6 of one, half dozen another. We have tournaments out there that driving range tee box is full from one end to the other. Well, if we do this par 3 at the end of it, those 3 holes, we're going to be taking part of that tee box away. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just something that needs to be considered. So now people can wait. So I mean, if the driving range is full and you got to wait 20 minutes before you get on it, we just need a plan for that. The biggest issue is when we have those big tournaments. So, but if they know that they need to wait in line a little bit, they'll maybe be a little more, plan ahead a little bit more, so if you go by what, that phase, I don't remember which one it is, for the 3 holes and the tee box and everything.
It's pretty deep.
It was a pretty big one. I want to say it was like 750,000. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not trying to spend money or anything like that, but just, like I said, things have changed
Yeah.
since we sat here
Yeah.
this time last year, and
Yeah.
are there some things that we can take advantage of, not for
Yeah.
the city or Lakeview, but for golf and Mitchell?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like the needs of the people that are here
Yep.
right now.
And the par 3, I'm a big fan of. I know Eric's had some people talk to him about it, and they want it and everything. In the long run, I think it would be a good thing, but just a matter of what direction, as a board, as a city, we want to head with it, so.
Just want to open our eyes to
Yep.
prioritizing.
Yep. Yeah, and that's totally what this conversation is. There's certain items on here I'm planning on asking for in my budget, but items like the cemetery, I'm going to ask for, again, I'll probably ask for design work for it, but I'm not necessarily going to ask for construction money for it yet. So, I would say that the items I got here, this is probably going to be the biggest discussion item, so the rest of them will probably fly through. So you guys let me know what you want to talk about on this yet. If we decide that we're moving forward on, for next year for phase 3, that would have to be, if you guys want to bring that to council, that would have to be voted on at next meeting, so.
We only want to go as planned, but also consider.
Yeah, I think, to me, in my eyes, you know, I mean, now's when it's hot, right? You know, I mean, in terms of like striking while the iron's hot. I mean, making good money out
Mhm.
there, right? We're turning good money in. Like, we have a gap in golf right now. And in 12 months, it might be completely different than what it is today, right?
Yep.
You know, so this might be a moot point. But I'm just thinking of the profile of golfer that we're getting out there, because like I see it, right?
Mhm.
For me, working there 3 or 4 years ago, there's some different cats that are out there right now that, you know, and this isn't a knock on anybody, but would benefit, and I think the golf course would benefit from like that par 3 and things like that. And is it going to break my heart if it doesn't happen? No, but I would like to, yeah, you know, like Tom says, like, let's start thinking about it, and there's stuff that we can do, you know, that will help us because of the changing landscape here. But yeah, I think we need to move forward and make the ask.
Okay. Or what are you, so phase 3? Or,
Well, because you got to have it for next year's budget, right?
yeah, we'll have to submit it by middle to end of June.
Of this year?
Yep. Yeah, we're already working on budget for next year. So if we don't ask by end of June,
When's our next
That-
meeting?
yeah, I would have time to put it into the budget, or we would have time to put into the budget if you guys vote on it at the next meeting, so. We would just have to have it ready to go to put it in, so.
Just
But-
out of curiosity, I've got a question. If we go through with the phase 3, we put that in the budget, are we gonna run through the same issues that we had going through in phase 2?
Hope not.
I-
have no idea who the council's going to be or.
Because it was
Yep.
not easy.
So I guess it's so hard to say because there might be a different mayor, there might be a totally different council. I can't answer that. Kind of like I was watching a lake meeting a couple weeks or a month ago, and it was brought up multiple times. We don't know who's going to be in charge, so we don't know. I mean, and I thought that was a good point. Now, just because we ask for it doesn't mean we're going to get it. We're just asking for it. They can say no. So,
Well, and I have, questions that you probably can't answer right now too, but, like, I'm like, okay, well, they're already there, they're working on it. Like, can they also do this over here while they're here doing this, right? And like the construction people might be like, no, man, like, we gotta focus on this, and then this is good. Like, we can't do all these at the same time,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, no, we can knock all this out right now. Well, it might save us money,
yeah.
right?
The bigger the project gets, the more you're going to save. When it's the minimal amount of project, say if you had $100,000 to spend, you ain't going to get much done because by the time they mobilize and they get here and they get the work done, you're paying way too much.
Right. I mean, like, if Kevin comes back and says, yeah, actually, you guys are going to save about $400,000. No, I know that's,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a number out there, but hey, yeah, lumping these two projects together, you're going to save yourself $250,000 in the long run, just in logistics,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And because I'm able to steal from here, to put it over here, and we got all of our stuff here, you're actually going to save yourself money if you consolidate these two projects.
Yeah.
But that's, like, we don't know that answer
Yeah.
right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, and like, I don't want to put you on a tight crunch, with having to get your budget put together, and stuff like that. I want to move forward with phase 3. And if that other stuff, if that just maybe is a phase 4 ask, just because that's just where we're at with timing, like, that's fine. I would
Well-
just like to open ourselves up to maybe not being so, systematic in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Maybe are there pieces of phase 8,
Yeah.
that we can throw in here?
So just because if you guys want me to move forward on that, we'll bring it back to the next meeting. We can have more of a discussion on it. And you guys can decide. So,
I think what Joe said makes sense to me, in that, we have to go ahead with phase 3, but if it would, in the long run, save us a lot of money and being able to do something with the part 3 at the same time, as long as we're mobilized and
Mhm.
whatever,
And get the equipment there.
I would think that would be a
Yep.
wise move.
so,
Are there other things on that list of golf course that you're going to list within a list of prioritizations? Or is it simply a yes or no on that item?
for phase 3?
On golf course
Oh,
capital?
I was planning on asking for, to finish the cart pass on, for what we're doing this year. Entry sign, some littler stuff in the clubhouse. So nothing big as far as anything else, so. I would say no, it's not all lumped together in one, but, so.
half of the payloaders in there too.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the other thing is I'm getting all that equipment next year, so that was already voted on. I'm gonna have to pay for it one way or another, so that's a big item. So, but that was approved and that is first on the list. So that takes priority over anything else, so. So, okay, so for next meeting, I'll assume that's the direction moving forward. We'll bring it, we'll discuss it. If you guys want to discuss with me on an individual basis before then, we can do that. Try to get questions answered beforehand, and then we'll do that. I'll run through these other smaller items. These aren't necessarily items that I'm asking for next year, but just things to think about. So the next cart fleet, I know we've only been in it 3 years. We talked about going to electric fleet, the next fleet. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's not necessarily just ordering a fleet of electric golf carts. There's infrastructure that we need to have in place. I did get a price quote when we did this last fleet, and that was about $26,000 to do the infrastructure in that long shed. So
With the existing long shed or tearing that puppy down?
well, that would be just putting that electrical infrastructure in that building. Now, if we want to talk about, then that's a valid point, and that's something that's been discussed. Do we tear down that shed and make it, number one, more functionable and make it to what we need, or are we just retrofitting something just to make it work? So, like I said, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if we do want to go with electric carts, the infrastructure part of it, not this next year's budget, but it's coming up sooner than what we want. So the last fleet, we did 8 or 9 years. So if we're in third year, going into fourth year, we're getting closer. So at some point, we're going to have to pick a direction that we're going to go, and so.
You know what we would save?
From an inside standpoint, or like, you gotta put them all in the shed every night, and you gotta get 2 people to get them all out in the morning.
Yep.
So one guy opens up at 6, you need 2. Every one of your rental cars is in the shed.
I mean, in there charging.
Yeah.
You're gonna add, I'd hate to guess, let's say it takes 35, 40 minutes to get them all out, you need, on a weekend, you need more.
And when's your second person usually come in?
Actually, you're talking labor, you're talking an hour and a half, 2 hours a day.
Yep.
Paying somebody.
Why did we come up with electric? Is that just something that's?
We discussed it when we were getting the fleet we have now. It came up, and the infrastructure part of it and what Dan's exactly talking about came up, and between me and Eric, we discussed it. We discussed it here. And it was just decided at this point in time, we go with at least one more fleet of gas.
To me, they're more of a country club thing where you got a cart attendant, like Little Run,
Yep.
you know, guy picks up your car, power washes it, you got in there anyway. You know, so you're,
So,
Moccasins like that too. It could be, but how I would do it is it wouldn't be my clubhouse folks. Like I would just have people who, this is what they did.
yeah.
Because like that's like how Moccasin does it. Like it's just kids that are out there and all they're doing literally is cleaning up golf carts, driving them in and out, and that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. So yeah, when you're talking infrastructure, it's not just
Yeah.
sticks in the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's-
it's a lot to it if we decide to go that direction, and that's why talking about it a little bit now, a little bit next year, at some point, we gotta commit or not commit, or just stay with gas, so.
What do
The
we
other thing
say?
with carts, we probably paid, what did we pay for these, Jason?
Our boot money,
Yeah.
we paid 103,000,
How many carts? How many
48
threes?
carts.
48, all right, threes.
And,
Say 25, what did we get trade in?
I want to say it was like 1,600 or
You know, so
2,000.
let's say we paid 4,500. Right now, that cart's about 8,500.
Yep.
I'm just guessing, that's thrown off the wall. That might have some extras on it we don't need. So you double the price, where's your lease fleet gonna go? You know, Sioux Falls was already $25 a person last year. And, well, I think we're still 20, ain't we?
For what?
For 18 holes?
Nope. Oh, yeah, we are.
I think we
Yep,
went up to
yep.
20. We're
Yeah.
18, I think we're up to 20.
You know, so, I mean, you pay double. Well, who's gonna pay for it?
What are you
They're
gonna,
gonna be, within a couple of years, within 5 years, they'll be paying $30 a person to ride.
what are you
because of
saving
the
in
cost of the
gas
car.
if you'd go electric? Like, what's the saving?
You know, I hear different stories on you're saving a bunch of money on money by going to electric. And next guy you talk to, some of these new gas ones are really efficient. So I've never run numbers, but I think if you figure out all the extra labor,
Right.
I don't know if you're really saving
Right.
a whole lot, personally.
I mean-
Now, as far as a public perception standpoint, are we to that point where we need to do it just because? I don't know that. So it's,
Like in the last 3 years, how many breakdowns you have with gas? Gas carts have really changed.
mm,
You know what I mean?
When they're new yet.
Yep.
Mhm. We used to trade them every 4 years though.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
now that's
it's-
changed because the gas carts are
Yep.
better.
It's, so when we got these, I had that conversation with the Yamaha dealer, and he said, yep, it used to be people traded every 5 years. Now it's 7 to 8 years.
Mhm.
So,
Is that due to budget or reliability?
budget. So I think people are just stretching stuff longer and longer, and that's the reasoning. So if we would decide to go electric, my standpoint on it is we would probably retain about 10 of our existing carts as kind of, hey, they can always be sitting outside, and if we have them as backups, whatever, so. Then we would not get quite as many electric, so. But anyways. Like I said, I don't want to dwell on it, so. So just some other items. In the clubhouse, men's locker room, carpet and lockers. If we did something like that, we would work on a little bit more storage in there. There's a lot of stuff just kind of along the wall and everything. It would be nice to get that situated a little better. And we don't need as many lockers as we have. We usually only rent out about half of them. Asphalt by the fuel barrel, it's starting to break up pretty good. Edging by the fuel barrel, that ran into probably by the fuel truck. Entry sign, that will be in our budget for this year. It's just a matter of where that money's coming from. Water lines in the clubhouse, we had a break in there. I did have that in the budget last year, but we had something else happen, and that money got pushed off to pay for that.
This is why I was rerouting the water lines.
Yeah, so it's not in the attic. So that's something we need to do also. At the point where we were at for budget for this year, I didn't necessarily know that wasn't going to happen, so it just did not get put back in. Another item for the shop, we're looking at doing some cement on the west side of the shop, just to make it, so we're not tracking dirt in all the time and just make it a better facility. This year, we're doing siding on the front side of the shop. We'd like to continue that coming around. Some extra space for equipment. asphalt on the north side of the shop by my fuel barrels. That's breaking up also. So these are just some of my items. Some of those will be asked for in this budget, and some of them are just, like I said, something down the road that just wanted to make you guys aware of, so. And there again, if you guys have items that you would like to see done, approached, or that you think I should be looking at, please let me know.
Well, how's the canopy on the clubhouse existing right now? I mean, like down at the bottom, I mean, like we got some like warp and things that are happening at the
On-
bottom and the top. Like, are we okay there?
On
structurally?
the open,
Open canopy that
open
faces
canopy.
out to the east?
yep, so we fixed a water leak last year. That helped immensely. Yes, we do need to approach the bottom part. I think with a little bit more repairs and some paint, I think that will be fine.
So structurally, it's okay.
Structurally, I think it's
Okay.
fine.
All right, that's my
Yep.
concern.
Yep.
How many more years we got in that clubhouse?
Could be 30. It's where you want to prioritize. I mean, what do you want for amenities? What do you want? I'm not saying we should go there, but do you want to start hosting bigger events? I mean, and not just golf tournaments. How far do you take it?
And you don't know what staffing's gonna be like in 5 or 10 years either.
Right. Yeah,
So-
I mean,
I mean,
functionality,
yeah, there's been questions on, do we put simulators in? Do we do this? Do we do that? Do we have a full bar? Do we have, I mean, you start getting into a lot of those questions and you're talking some pretty serious dollars. So that would be a pretty heavy commitment to address that. What we have functions for the most part. Is there some things that like to be different, whatever, sure, but what's your priority? I mean, and that's part of what this was, is priority, so that was my question to you guys. Not necessarily to answer right now, but just to think about it, where do we want to go from here, so.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
There's not a lot of you over there.
Somebody's got my back. I was gonna say, I was waiting for
Meeting's
Tom.
adjourned.
I was waiting for Tom to take care of that.
So I have to get turns.